Welcome into the Official Jets podcast.
Dangling a steak in front of a lion and you ain't got no cage in between you. He gonna get to that steak.
So let's go inside the matchup.
A motivated Aaron Rodgers is a dangerous Aaron Rodgers.
Game day and every day, score a jewelry touchdown with Kendra Scott. Shop fashion and fine jewelry fit for another winning season at your local store or at kendrascott.com. Shine bright, do good with Kendra Scott. All right, gentlemen, let's set the stage. Jets, Patriots, Baldy. Green and white have an opportunity to sweep the Pats for the first time since 2000.
Well, they're a better team. Like, it's just time to show it right now, EA. Like, go out there and execute. Stop beating yourselves. You know, all the mistakes, the penalties. Like, just go out and execute. Like, that's what this whole thing is about. They can beat anybody on the schedule. They can lose to everybody on the schedule the rest of the way. If they just keep beating themselves with mistakes and critical errors, you know, at bad times, it's time to, like, put and it starts really, to me, offensively with the running game. They just got to get this running game going. And you can do it. You got to commit to it. And then you got to execute in it and give the coaches confidence that you can call a run on 2nd and 9 and get 6 yards.
All right, Bart, why is this not coming together? Because the Jets were 2-1. They dominated the Patriots in Week 3, that 24-3 contest. Then they lose a close one at home. 3 Greg Zuerlein field goals in the rain against the Denver Broncos. You go over to London. You fall behind. You have an opportunity to win it at the end. Interception by Gilmore. You come back. Buffalo Bills. You play very well in spurts. They had a lot of explosive plays offensively. Miss a couple field goals. They win a 3-point game. And then finally at Pittsburgh, you got control of the game. It's 15-6 at the end of the first half. And then it was all downhill for the Steelers after the interception by Beanie Bishop.
Yeah, well, I just think you're talking about a team that doesn't know their identity. And, you know, they don't know. If you don't know your identity, if you don't have a mission statement, this is who we are, or we used to always have it with Rex, this is what a Jet is. I don't think they know what it is, right? They don't know if they're finesse, if they're power, if they're zone, if they're man, if they're blitzing team, or they need to find an identity. And they need to say, this is who we are, this is how we're going to play, this is how we're going to win, and this is how we're going to lose. Right? And then they have to do that. Once you do that, you get discipline, right? You got to get more discipline. You can't have these self-inflicted penalties and wounds that take you back. And you got to understand that just because you're a talented roster doesn't mean you're a talented team. You know, team is about chemistry. Team is about coming together. And when you have a collection of great players, the hard part is trying to figure out who's going to take a lesser role and who's going to be able to say, you know what, it may not be my week this week, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with what the game plan for the week calls for. I'm willing to sacrifice. Because when you try to win a Super Bowl, it's about sacrifice. And sometimes when you have a bunch of young players, they don't understand that part because they're trying to establish themselves. And the guys that are established, like, man, I don't care about no Pro Bowl. I don't care about none of this. I just want to win because I know my time is running out. And I think that's a tough dynamic that these guys have. They have a bunch of young guys that are ascending and they want to make a name for themselves in this league. And you got a bunch of old guys like Tyron, Davante, Aaron, guys that have been in the league for a long time. They know that they got more. Yeah, C.J. Mosley. They know they got more behind them than they have in front of them. And then they're like, man, I don't care. I'll do whatever we got to do. And I think that's what you have to have because I always say time is wasted on the young.
Where's the playmakers coming from, Bart? I mean, that's what you got to ask yourself. Like, nobody's making plays. You know, I mean, the things that, like, for example, Xavier Gibson runs the punt back for a touchdown to win in overtime last year, you know, against Buffalo. Like, where are the big plays? Like, the punch-outs. Like, get the ball on the ground. Like, the tip ball interceptions. Like, they got to start making plays. And that's usually that's in the hands of your stars, but it can come from anywhere. Yeah. And so that's what's missing right now is, like, nobody in those plays, the plays I'm talking about, Bart, those are the plays where the whole group, everybody on the sideline, you know, starts celebrating and believing. And I feel like that's what hasn't been happening in any game in these last 4 games. Like, nobody is making that play that can change the game.
Baldy, what should their identity be? Bart's saying they got to find it. What should it be on the offensive side of the ball and then the defensive side of the ball as well?
I mean, I know Aaron's the face of the organization, and I'm okay with that. But I think Breece Hall and Braylon Allen should be the identity of this team, and they should commit to running the football. Bart's been talking about, give me a 6th offensive lineman, put him at tight end. Let's block the strong side. Let's find 4 runs that we can run against any front, anybody, and we can execute. Combo blocks at the point of attack, 3 double teams, whatever it is, inside zone, mid zone. Like, let's get some power going. Like, that's what Simpson did in Baltimore. He ran power. Like, he was great at it. Let's get some power runs. Let's get both these backs going. And I think that should be the identity of this team. Everything that you get to Davante or Garrett is fine. Like, there's a place for those plays. But I think when you line up and you want to start establishing the game plan, I think they should establish it on the run.
I mean, the greatest comp, I think, for this team is the Baltimore Ravens. And everybody's like, oh, Bart, the former Raven. We always talk Ravens. But remember, at the beginning of the year, they didn't know what to do with Derrick Henry.
No.
And then you saw Mark Andrews was non-existent. Bateman was non-existent. It was, okay, let's get Derrick Henry the ball and Zay Flowers. And now, since they've established a run, now everybody's open, right? Because everybody's open because now the linemen block better because now it's play action. Right, so now, guys are open. There's more space because now you got linebackers actually respecting the play action because you better come downhill. We got 2 big backs too. You better come downhill because guess what? And then when they come downhill, all that space is open behind them. So everybody can eat, right? So now when that safety comes down because he has to respect that the running game is so good, now you got one-on-one somewhere. So every place is always set best with a run game and winning in the trenches. And to win in the trenches, you do that by running the ball. And listen, if you can't move some guys, against their will by yourself, then you go out there, you go 6 linemen or to go to extra linemen at the tight end, and you move that way. Say, okay, well, everybody got a buddy, right? And if you got a double-double, let the backside end go because he can't make the play. Yeah, go get to the front side, then do that. Who cares? Everybody else in the league is doing it. The skipper package is a real thing. The skipper package, everybody's looked at what the Lions have been doing for the last couple of years, and everybody has their extra lineman that comes in and runs.
And that's their identity. I mean, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got, Laporta. But they get the run game going, and they got 2 great backs. But I feel like that's where the Jets are at right now. That's what they have to – if they want to get back into the race, I think they can run back into the race. And I think time of possession, controlling the ball, not making silly turnovers, putting the defense in bad positions, I think it makes everybody better.
How much does it – you guys both suited up. You played more than a decade in the National Football League. How much does it mess with your mind, 4 consecutive losses, and the way you've lost the games? Because interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich is saying that, hey, it's clear that my guys are pressing right now.
Well, I mean, look, you lose 4 in a row. I don't care who your coach is, and I don't care how good your chemistry is. It splinters the team. It just does. I mean, because they're hearing everything from the outside. You can't block out all the noise. You can't, just stay in your house. Like, you hear it. And everybody is down on you. Nobody believes in you when you lose 4 in a row. You hear the words right now that the season's over. Like, you can say, you can rally around that to a degree. But at the same time, there's certain mistakes that keep happening on this team. And why is that? Like, at some point, you have to eliminate that stuff and just concentrate. It's so cliche, but you have to just concentrate on doing your job and doing it better. And that's where it starts.
What do you make of Aaron Rodgers so far through 7 games? Because he's beat up. We're taping this on Wednesday. Now he's dealing with the hamstring issue that flared up against the Steelers. Taking a number of big hits, and basically his lower body, he got injuries all over that place.
That's what I'm trying to say. Bringing the extra tackle. Who cares? You have so much talent that you don't have to put 5 out. You have so much talent that, you can say, okay, we're going to go unbalanced line. But what does that do as well? It helps in the run game, but it helps in the pass protection as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand. I think the remedy to that is running the football and bringing in the extra linemen. Like I said, everybody does it. And if you want to get those big explosive plays, those take time. But I can say I would sacrifice putting 5 out, knowing the fact that I have such dynamic weapons that if they have time to set up moves and run downfield, then they're going to win the majority of the time. And that's when the big plays will come. Aaron Rodgers probably getting the ball out faster than anybody in the NFL. Yeah. So I'm sure if we know that, everybody else knows that, which is why he had 5 batted balls last week, because guys know if I don't get there in 1, 2, 3 seconds, just get up and get my hands up.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, Bart's always going back to Baltimore, but they use Patrick Ricard. He's basically a lineman. They just move him around.
Yeah.
He's their sixth lineman. So they use him in protection. They use him as a lead blocker. They put him at the H-back, the fullback. They line him up at the wing. But he's their sixth lineman. And so they're going to make sure that the line is so there's no penetration at the point.
Mm-hmm.
And Derrick Henry, he's going to find the daylight or, Lamar, obviously Lamar's a big part of it.
Hat on a hat.
Yeah. It's got to start like that.
On the surface, the Patriots are the perfect opponent for the Jets to get the ground game going. They have really struggled against the run the last 3 games. I think teams are averaging more than 170 a clip in terms of what they're doing over the course of 4 quarters.
I mean, you can't play down to your competition. It's not about the opponent this week. It's about being able to do things the right way, technique, being able to have communication against certain fronts, being able to pick up, blitzes. Okay, they ran this blitz and we're in this run. This is how we adjust to it, because those same blitzes and same things is going to show up later in the season, and they may be with a better opponent. But now, because you've communicated, you've talked about how you guys see it the same way, it's about getting reps and doing, like you said, Baldy, 4 runs, 4 or 5 runs, inside, outside, and do them left and right. That's 10 runs. That's 10 different runs. And you should be able to block them out of every different front that you get, right? And once you master that, you can play fast. The Jets are playing with so many different plays, so many different styles, that they haven't mastered any. Jack of all trades, master of none.
So you got to simplify this on the offensive side of the ball.
To the degree from running the ball, it'd be the most simple thing in it. It'd be zone, inside, outside. It'd be whams. It'd be powers. It'd be woes and bosses, stretch plays.
What are you seeing from Rodgers on film? Because Bart just talked about that. Hey, he's getting the ball out quick. Everybody in the league knows about that, and people are getting their hands up. And we saw that from the Steelers on Sunday night.
Well, he feels like he has to get it out quick because I don't think there's great trust in the protection. And if he does hold it, he gets hit or he's got to move. And so it's out. So I don't think he's even allowing a lot of these routes to develop where you can really go through progressions. I think it's sort of pre-snap read. I know where I'm going here. I'm taking the shot to Garrett here. I'm taking the shot to Lazard. And that's where he's going. And I don't think Aaron's playing the way he's capable of playing because of the urgency to throw too fast, where you can sit back and let things develop a little bit and wait for guys to come open. And so it's part of it is he has to do it that way, and part of it is by doing it that way, you're not allowing the open man to really become open.
All right, you're going to be getting out of here in a minute, and Bart and I are going to finish here. Do you look at the AFC, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, and say, you're basically going to be a bunch of teams fighting for 2 spots. Do you already see it as, okay.
The league's separating itself.
So you got Kansas City, you got Houston, you got Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and you got the Bills who got a 3-game lead already in the AFC.
I don't even know if Pittsburgh I don't know if I can say Pittsburgh yet.
Yeah?
I mean, that stuff that I saw from Russell Wilson, like they can crown him and say he plays good. Like a decent defense that sees how they're using him. That's, like I said, when I watched that, I thought I was watching football for dummies. Like that was a game plan that I would have used with my Twin Borough Bears back when I was coaching my son. It simply was boots and throwbacks and shots.
Yeah.
And they're saying shots because, usually when you throw shots down the field, just straight vertical go routes, 9 routes, usually,
it's a low percentage.
Yeah. But four things happen, though, right? And only one is good for the defense. Either you're going to intercept it or deflect it, but then you got illegal contact, you got pass interference, or your guy catches it. And it's like the most unfair, in my opinion, the most unfair penalty in all of sports because it's a spot foul. Mm-hmm. So if you just throw up some bull junk and your guy is underthrown, they come back to you and jump into you, that's a 45-yard penalty. Right, bailout, right? Straight bailouts. And I thought that the Jets let Russell Wilson get bailed out, right? One player, and I don't see that happening with most guys in the league. They'll say, okay, we may not think that Pickens is a great player, but we know he's a player that's going to get the attention.
A vertical threat, and he's going to run down the field.
Let's just put 2 over him.
Yep.
And then let's see who Russell can beat us with.
Are you?
Damn sure can't beat us with fair move slow ass. And the other kid is like Baldy. Listen, if I had a bet between him and Baldy, I'm taking Baldy.
You have to get out of here.
I gotta go.
Not only the Patriots on deck, but a couple days later, you got the Houston Texans.
Take care of one first.
Okay.
We get to 4 days later after the win first.
But that's why we don't need to be in some physical adventure. We need to go out there with a better team. We need to go out there and beat their ass real quick and start getting some of our other players in to get some experience and take some of these snaps off. I should be looking at guys and say, okay, man, I only played 40 out of 50 snaps. We ran the ball. We took the air out of the game. We shortened the game. We went up by 2 scores. The Jets should win this 28-13. This should be a 28-13, guys, just coasting.
Maybe Aaron can sit out the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You're going to sit out now. You got to get out. You're going to be heading down the turnpike. Game day and every day, score a jewelry touchdown with Kendra Scott. Shop fashion and fine jewelry fit for another winning season at your local store or at kendrascott.com. Shine bright, do good with Kendra Scott. Here's the magic of the podcast, okay? We got a video portion that's going on NewYorkJets.com and YouTube. We thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page if you haven't already.
Are we going to put our bloopers in?
Baldy just exited out of here, and he tripped, but somehow, stumbling, bumbling, was able to stay up.
It's still some athletic life left in him.
Yeah, nice job. He told us before that we started the podcast here that he had 1 career reception and went for 30-plus yards.
I wonder if that's the greatest yak in the history. Just 1 catch.
So we talked a little bit about offense. Let's flip it to the defensive side of the ball. What are you seeing? What do they have to change as they move ahead?
You have to play fundamentally. Technique, assignment, alignment. Technique, alignment, assignment, right?
Yeah.
That's the fundamentals. You can't not. Everything starts with alignment, right? So if you align well, then it allows you to do your job. They have to be able to anchor. They have to be able to believe in each other. But the addition of Hassan Reddick gives the offensive line somebody to dictate to. Like, you know that the slide protection is going to go to him. If it's a tackle that's young, they're going to help him, which should allow Will, who's already got 8 sacks, to be able to eat even more. They have to anchor in the inside. They have to sit on these double teams. Until you show that you can stop the run on a consistent basis, you're going to get those type of runs that you're struggling with. So they have to make sure to say, hey, Hassan Reddick's here now. Our edges are secure. Then I think it allows Clemens to come in. I think he was playing too much.
Yeah.
So like, I think it allows him to come in fresh and be more impactful. Because when you're starting and you're playing a lot of reps, especially when you've never started before, sometimes you can't go all out because you don't know how much gas you got to save for the last quarter or something
Because
like that.
you know you're going to get 60, you might be playing 50, 60 reps.
Right, but now when you come in, now you're jacked up on Mountain Dew. It's kind of like how Huff used to be, right? Come in, like everybody else been anchoring, holding double teams, beat up, and he's like, hey, I got fresh legs. Hey, I'll go. And then you can get those effort plays. I feel like the Jets aren't getting those effort plays because the strength of this team used to be the rotation of the defensive line, wearing other teams down. But now that rotation is done and gone, and now it's been hard, especially with no Hassan Reddick, with Jermaine Johnson. That's just naturally 2 guys that you were depending on.
That was a huge loss, Jermaine Johnson.
Right, because he was like the big guy too. Like you talk about Will McDonald, you talk about Hassan. They're smaller guys. But if you talk about Johnson, then that's a big guy that can set a hard right and convert. So it was a huge loss, but it killed the depth. So Hassan kind of adds some more quality depth. Should free Quinnen a bit because now you can't double with him, right? You can't double with him because if that tackle decides to block down or they try, you're not going to put it back on the DN against Riddick. So, you know what I mean? They're going to have to figure out how to block him, and I think that's going to open things up for everybody else.
So we're just taping Jets game day before. You can watch that at NewYorkJets.com, YouTube, CBS Sunday morning, 7:30 a.m. You brought up a good point as far as Will and Reddick is concerned. Mm-hmm. Who's going to play left? Who's going to play right? And do you move them around? Or you keep them at one spot?
I have to ask Hassan how he feels because, he's the vet. And we know Will. I've seen Will rush on both sides, right? So I know he has a tremendous spin move. I'm sure I've seen it on the left side, their left, the opponent's right. So I'll be interested to see how he feels about rushing. If he's ambidextrous, it doesn't matter what side he rushes from. He puts Hassan on the side that he's always on, and I like Hassan on that side anyway because he's going to go against probably the more physical guy in the run game, which is usually the right tackle.
Yeah.
And, Will can go against a more finesse guy on the left side. But if you go against a team like Buffalo that got a war daddy at tackle, then you put Hassan over there so then you can keep Will comfortable.
What's realistic in terms of snaps for Reddick out of the gate? We're week 8. He just got here Monday. Jeff Ulbrich said, hey, we're going to work him into practice and see where he's at.
I would say anywhere from like 30 to 35 snaps.
Okay.
So half the snaps, 50% of the snaps.
And from a player's perspective, how do you think he's viewing this now that he's finally here?
Well, he's here, and it was never anything personal against his team. It was business, right? So now he's like, man, I'm trying to save this season. We need to get busy, and they need me. So he can come in. He can be the knight in shining armor. Like, he can come here and he can be the difference that this team has a pop. He can be the reason, like, hey, man, Quentin can't come to life because now they're running games with each other. Now you have 2 elite players next to each other side by side, doing games and doing things like that, making it difficult on opposing offenses. And then that just allows Will to just be the forgotten. Like, they may forget about the guy that has 8 sacks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because
you got to start with the other two, right?
Right. You got to start with the other two. So now you can do things like blitz that side, knowing that the protection is going to slide. If you got Quentin and Hassan next to each other, the slide protection is going to them. That means the short edge goes there. So you can blitz Quincy and Will on that side and still have and be fundamentally sound.
I like that.
So it allows you to open things open.
Are you licking your chops if you're in that defensive meeting room when you see a rookie quarterback? Or conversely, do you look at Drake May and say, wow, he's only a second quarterback, Dan Marino being the first since 1950 to have 500 yards passing and 5 touchdowns in his first 2 starts, and he does not look afraid out there.
He's not afraid, and he's a guy that has belief in his arm. And, I'm saying, hey, I know Hunter Henry's going to be a big part of this because a quarterback's best friend is always a tight end. Easy throws, and Hunter Henry is a guy that can catch the ball at a high level, probably their best weapon on the offense side of the ball. So I'm saying, how do we affect him? If I'm a linebacker, how do I make sure that I'm reading my keys and see how they like to use him when he's lined up in different spots? Like, how do I make sure that I can discourage Drake May from throwing the ball over there? And if he is, how can I make that play, get a hand on the ball, be in perfect position for my safety help over the top? So, I mean, the Jets are struggling at safety, a lot of injuries. For me, I'm saying, okay, well, I have to do a great job in the linebacker spot as far as my depth and my drops, but also being physical with being able to get a good reroute and a jam, you know what I mean, and making sure that maybe I can bait this young guy into throwing because we know when he has a habit who he's going to.
How do the Jets get turnovers? Takeaways, they just haven't been there so far this season.
Got to fly to the ball. I got to have an emphasis on it, do the turnover drills. Everybody here is punching the football out. We've seen, it happen to Brees. Fred Warner first game. You got to say, okay, we got to try and just get these turnovers. We got to try and get our hands up. And we got to take advantage of them when we come. And when somebody hits you with a football in the face, you got to catch it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of those. We have guys that have dropped. They got to get on a jugs machine.
Good news for the Jets secondary. DJ Reed dealing with the groin, did not play last week. He's back at practice Wednesday. Yeah. We'll have to see how he progresses.
I don't expect him to play.
And you don't?
No, I wouldn't, even if he's ready.
Because you're looking at you got to look at.
Yeah. It's a short week, and you say, hey man, if we can't beat the Patriots without DJ Reed, then we probably don't deserve to be playing.
Yeah.
Right. So let's let our teammate heal up. Let's get him an extra 4 days, and maybe he's fresh and he's the spark that can play with a bunch of energy, while the rest of us are tired from coming off of
that's a good point.
A short week.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
And you got confidence in Eccles. We'll have to see what happens in the safety position as the Jets are dealing with a lot of injuries there. Let's go back to the offensive side of the ball. I didn't get your thoughts on Davante Adams.
Yeah.
Game 1, reunited with Aaron Rodgers. I think he was targeted like 9-10 times, had the 3 catches for 30 yards.
A lot of targets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what did you?
I didn't realize it was 10.
Yeah, it was at least 9. So what did you see? It's a small sample size.
Yeah, I know you want to get to him and get big plays, but I think right now, running the football is more important. The fact that Breece Hall had over 100 yards in productivity, but only 20 of those or 30 of those came from running the football.
Yeah.
you got to set that up. Like I said, that opens the key for everything.
So you just want to see the rushing attempts
Yeah,
up.
yeah. And then I'll talk about Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, and Alan Lazard and Conklin. But if you run the football and you dominate in running the football, man, all that stuff's going to open up.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about big yardage.
You should have free runners. Because, listen, you start running the football, they're going to have to start inching towards that
Of course.
line of scrimmage.
And they're going to try and they're going to say they're going to run blitz or something like that. I mean, I thought last week watching the Lions with these cover zero blitzes, it showed you exactly how to run through those blitzes.
Yeah.
And also how to protect with the extra linemen, how to protect with those and create trouble for when guys come to these cover zero blitzes.
That was a great game. Thursday night, what do you think it's like for this coaching staff right now? Because, yes, you have the Patriots, and you got to be focused on that. But you got to be game planning for the Houston Texans. So we probably won't talk to you before that game is played. What do you make of where Houston's at right now, 5-2, just lost a tight game to the Green Bay Packers? Everybody talking about C.J. Stroud. Seems a little inconsistent. Nico Collins is hurt.
He's
but
struggling with blitzes.
Okay, so we're going to get to that. But they got Mixon back there. So.
Yeah, and that's the guy that sets the table once again.
There you go.
With all those receivers they have, you can arguably say they got as equal talent and receiver as the Jets.
Yep.
And we watched them struggle.
And they were right there.
And we watched them play well. And they play well when they run the football. With Joe Mixon, when he was hurt, they struggled. When Joe Mixon came back, the winning in the offense and everything came back, even though Nico Collins got hurt.
They lost a last-second field goal to the Packers despite Stroud throwing for less than 100 yards.
Yeah.
Defensively, how much will they challenge the Jets' offensive line because of what they do with their line?
Well, when you think about Will Anderson, you think about Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
It's two of the best in the business. So that's what I'm saying. You better start practicing on that extra lineman this week so that you're going to have to worry about instant pressure on top of Aaron Rodgers. So same thing. That's what I'm saying. Might as well get it used to and set things up. So then they have to have a plan. So now you got those edges secure, and now you can make sure that you can keep them upright so you can allow yourself to be able to use that great talent.
Well, what have you seen from Ulbrich? It's just 2 games. I know that.
It's tough.
You kind of thrown into a situation. The boat is already left.
Yeah.
So you're out in the middle of the ocean.
Well, he's learning lessons and things on the job. So, I mean, it's a tough situation. I think he has the greatest fumble of all time in Jets history. Fumbled the flag, and he got a touchdown out of it. But, I think he'll just get better and better as time goes.
Okay.
He gets more and more comfortable with doing administrative stuff that coaches don't really like to do, but it's a part of the head coaching job. And I think he'll get more comfortable, and he'll start to see things a little better, and he'll start to develop his own style about how to be a head coach.
You've been part of this rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
You actually were part of a team who had the last playoff win for this organization back in 2010, the divisional playoffs. When I tell you that the Jets have not swept the Patriots since 2000, what goes through your head?
I mean, it's crazy because we know they've won, but they haven't swept. So that means that, the Patriots have a plus 500 record, right? Because we know that it took them 14 games before they were able to beat them. They was on like a 14-game winning streak.
Now you got an opportunity for a 3rd consecutive win against them because you took care.
So you start yours and kick them while you're down. You don't have your Hall of Fame coach, your Hall of Fame quarterback. So if I'm the Jets, I'm saying, hey man, listen, no mercy for them.
So I wanted to ask you that. Mayo called his team soft.
Mm-hmm.
Belichick fired back. You're in the media now. Belichick is.
Yeah, like.
I mean, well, how did you?
They just let you know Belichick didn't want to leave.
Yeah. So how do you ingest all that?
I mean, I wonder if they asked Mayo, like, have he heard Bill's comments?
Yeah.
He's like, man, I don't know nobody care about Bill. Forget Bill. I wonder what his opinion of what Bill said. Like, hey, that's counterproductive because if somebody would have told Bill, a former player or former coach said, hey, Bill's wrong, they're not soft, he got to do a better job coaching, he would have took that personal. And he said something that should force Mayo to have to respond and not take it personal.
How do you think that goes over in the locker room?
I mean, soft?
I mean,
Whenever it's universal sign whenever somebody rushes for like 150, 170 yards, everybody's soft. And you can't take offense to that because if they ran.
So you don't care as a player if your coach says that to the media?
You're right, we soft.
Yeah.
Like, yo, somebody here soft, but I would say, yo, he ain't talking to me.
Yeah.
Cause I ain't soft. Y'all might be soft. Or when you look at the film, like, yep, that's soft right there. So, my team is soft is not throwing an individual under the bus. It could be a couple of guys that are soft, but you get judged like by the group. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if we give up 170 yards, then we soft.
So we got a great sponsor, Kendra Scott.
My daughter loves that place.
We make a choice to see the good in every day, shine bright, do good. So give me 3 Jets who will shine brightest versus the Patriots.
Well, first of all, because they're using my last name, I need some royalties. But three Jets that's going to shine
brightest against the Patriots.
Well, I mean, I think it's easy picking when you talk about Breece Hall. Because he'll have an advantage running the ball, but also an advantage catching the football as a weapon out in coverage. I want to go with Quinnen Williams because I feel like Hassan Reddick is going to take away that slide protection. You think about New England's already struggling, right? So if they're already struggling and they know they got Hassan Reddick, or let's say Hassan lines up in his regular spot, and then Will's on the other side. The slide's going to go to Hassan. Usually Quinnen's on the backside, so he's going to get one-on-one coverage, right? Because that slide means that the center is going too, so that means he's one-on-one on the guard because the tackle can't help because he has Will McDonald. So he'll get up the field with the speed rush, which should allow Quinnen to raise havoc.
He's got to be happy this week. So you got Breece, you got Quinnen. Give me a third.
See, this one's tough for me because I want to say, hey, well, Hunter Henry, somebody has to stop him. And, I don't even know how many tight ends we're going to have dressed, how many guys we're going to have to maybe take from cornerback to play safety.
Safety, right.
So
how about Jalen Mills, maybe?
Well, you know what? I like that one.
Yeah.
He represents the effort and energy and like just pure recklessness. I like how he plays. I really like how he plays. He throws his body around.
Let's end here. Halloween, always a big holiday in the Scott households. Anything happening this year?
No,
you gonna wear anything?
Our neighborhood does a great job. Not our neighborhood, but it's a neighborhood like slightly where my kids go, and it's like a cul-de-sac. I forgot what his name, and it's maybe like every house in the cul-de-sac, multiple blocks, has Halloween parties. Every single one.
Yeah.
So the whole neighborhood comes from all over, and the fire department lights the entire cul-de-sac up.
Yep.
And you'll probably see 2,000 kids running around there all night. And it's a great party. My son, my older kids now, like if they know the people, they go to the house parties and just bounce from house party to house party. And then the young one, he's going to be Beetlejuice, so it'll be interesting to watch him as Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's always fun. Subscribe, rate, and review if you're listening. Also on YouTube, you can subscribe as well. Happy Halloween. We will see you next week.
Damn, Halloween already.